Hello my beautiful Muglets, today we're playing some more Exos Heroes. Today we're doing more of a review on Exos Heroes. This one is not sponsored. I did do a 3-part series on Exos Heroes. My final sponsored video was last Monday, so a little over a week ago today. I made it, I posted it last Friday, but I've been playing ever since then because I do truly like the game. And I think what we're going to do is just go through the different sections of the game and I'll give my thoughts on each piece. So we're going to start with story mode. This is the first thing you're going to be introduced to pretty much. And with that, we can also talk about basic gameplay mechanics. So each character, you know, has these 3 skills. As far as I've experienced, most characters are very unique in their skill kit, and one or both of their skills along with their passives, which are also very unique, can definitely make a character what they are. There's also the mechanic of Guardian Stones. As you can see, these guys have light and dark Guardian Stones. It's Jin's turn now and he has a gear type. In fact, we don't have any light or darks with us, so we cannot break them. Breaking them does various things, but one thing all breaks have in common is that you'll deal a lot more damage, and they won't be able to actually do anything until they are unbroken. So for every content, breaking is very important, and for some content, it's actually necessary. Speaking of combat, here comes the first nitpick. The ultimate animations are incredibly long. Apologies for that. We are playing on emulator, which isn't always the smoothest experienced. But yeah, as you can see here, Jin's, you know, it's very flashy, it's very nice the first 100 or so times you see it. Jin's is actually one of the quicker ultimate animations. It's possible they'll add a way to skip these in the future, but as of now, I don't believe there is a way. For example of a longer ultimate animation, let's take a look at FC Zeons. Again, sorry for the stutters there. That's just what it is. And yeah, here we go. You know, it's really cool, you know, dragon flying around, and then he comes and slices them all together. The whole animation is probably like, you know, 10 entire seconds. And when you're seeing that multiple times per battle, and then, you know, you have hundreds of battles to go through, it can get annoying after a while. Oh, well, there is the skill effect mode fast. And of course, if the good graphics are giving you trouble, you can always drop it down. I could have sworn I already checked animations, but let's see what that fast option does. Oh, God, that is really fast. Okay. How did I go the entire game without knowing this option existed? Someone should have told me. But I mean, if it's gonna be that fast, why not just an option to skip them all together? As far as story goes, I personally did enjoy it. It's pretty long though, there is a lot of dialogue. There are also some voice acted cutscenes throughout. Also, if you were the type just to skip all the dialogue because you wanted to get through story as fast as possible, you know, it's a new game, you want to maybe try and be like super competitive. So when things slow down, you want to actually, you know, check out the story and what's going on. There's also a skip battle button in case, you know, you have the 3 missions completed here. So you can just go back and enjoy the story, which I thought was a nice touch, very considerate. So I'm going to be trying to focus on things where a lot of other gacha type games have in common. We can start with daily quests because daily quests are common in like pretty much every mobile game ever. Exos Heroes daily quests are not only very quick and easy to do, but the rewards you get are actually really good, unlike most other daily quests. I'm actually going to do all 8 of them mid-recording just to show how fast they are. The daily quests themselves are nothing special. It consists of 4 battles and a few of go here, talk to this person, or deliver this, or grab this, or whatever. So they're not all that exciting to do, but considering the rewards you get, I look forward to these daily quests. So I said it took about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to just receive everything. And yeah, you can see that here, a little bit of Zest, and a lot of other things to progress your heroes. Along with user XP, I think that's going to be one of the main ways you actually get user XP and level up, at least once you're finished with story mode. In addition to the daily quests, there are additional daily missions, which are definitely more typical of what you'd see. You know, you get a couple of Levistones down here, you get 30 Zest when you finish everything. They're also very easy to do and things you are probably going to be doing every day anyway. Weekly as well, but the achievement tab, you can get tons of Zest here. Sadly, most of it is one time only. While we're on the map, there are also these guys, these travelers walking around. They reset daily too. And usually at least one of these airships floating around as well. Get some Levistones, I believe. As you can see, the travelers also provide you with Levistones, and there's a few things you can do with Levistones. I didn't care too much about them until we had this reverse world event going on. It's actually still going on for a bit. We've cleared out the main shop, but there are still these top rewards that are super juicy. So this was an event I really like. I think this is the first actual event, and you know, most mobile games have events like this as well. This lasted a full 2 weeks. Personally, I think it could have lasted maybe a week less, maybe had less rewards here or something, as long as a different event or a different person to fight there would have been available. So hopefully once this event ends, there'll be another to replace it, because I really enjoyed this. On the other hand, if it was only 1 week, that's less time to actually get a optimal team set up. Honestly, I only raised, I think, maybe 1 hero for this specifically, and I don't even use them for it anymore, so. But you probably have to take most of my criticisms and or praise with a grain of salt, because I'm very much a rewards person. I did enjoy like learning about her mechanics and working around them and everything, but of course, mostly I enjoyed it because the rewards are awesome here. And as long as their events keep giving awesome rewards, I'm going to keep enjoying them. That's just how I am. On the topic of Levistones, let's also talk about Yupir's Labyrinth. This resets once a month. It's a very good way to get the Zest we were just talking about, this in-game currency that you need for summoning mostly. But Yupir's Labyrinth, man, this place really, it's frustrating to say the least. I was stuck on, I believe, I don't know if it was floor 4 or floor 5. I was stuck on this place for so long. To summarize, it is very challenging, and sometimes if you don't have the right team or the right units, it's just going to be impossible. So if you don't have a certain like MVP unit, it's just going to be frustrating and you can't do it. So considering it resets monthly, this is a bit of a frustration for me, because if you can't do all the way down to floor 15 by the end of the month, you're losing out on that in-game currency. And I mentioned Yupir's Labyrinth because you need Levistones to enter, and also you can do subjugation once per day to get some extra Levistones. I forgot to do this for most of the time I was playing, so here's a reminder for you. The only other currency that resets on a minute by minute or hour by hour basis is the PvP entry tickets, Zebenstunier, however you say that. We can also briefly talk about this. Challenger 3 and below have this cool daily match where you can use all 5 entries at once and pick someone out of here. I usually just go for the weakest guy. I also really like the soundtrack. This is obviously one of the pieces of content I do not auto, because yeah, you shouldn't. Once you learn a lot of the mechanics of the game, you will quickly realize autoing is a bad idea in PvP. I would explain why, but that might be for a different video, and honestly that's pretty usual, where you shouldn't auto in Arena, because typically AI is not that smart. We do still have the annoying dragon even at end game, so there is that. There are a couple other things that reset on an hourly basis. Personally, I forget about this most of the time, but it's alright to get some early purple gear. I only bought a few purples from this place because, you know, by the time I really started getting all that dust, I was already further into the story and was getting purple gear naturally from stages anyway. But there's also this section, but this section is probably the most important, especially if you have FC Xeon. You know, I've seen a few Xeon pieces in here and I've grabbed them, but eventually you want to transcend him up to max. I also want to give my opinion on the challenge tab in general, because the thing is, for all of these, you know, it changes on a pretty much day-by-day basis. Sometimes they're like 2 days in a row where it's similar and you don't really need anything special to enter. But when we go down to special here, there are a lot of requirements. We can just hit suggest to see how many of our actual strong guys can come with us. These 2 5-stars and the FC Xeon, of course. At first, I hated this because I couldn't do a lot of the hard stuff just because it's forced me to take these weak guys with me. But ultimately, it sort of forced me to diversify my box, you know, get a lot of different dudes. I'm still not really planning on raising Jean or this guy, but I try to have like 2 or 3 solid heroes in each element. And you know, that really helps with this as well. And sticking with the same 5 guys for all content would be a little bit boring anyway, so yeah, it's kind of nice to mix and match. But speaking of which, special stages are very important. You get a very special item called Star of Fate where you can craft very nice armor. Potentially, once per month you can use 300 of these to get a guaranteed faded, which I personally recommend because, well, I didn't have good luck going to the door to creation. This is a thing I don't mess with too often, honestly. I mean, it's a really good place to get Levistones. I personally haven't gotten any because it feels like we get so many Levistones just from playing normally anyway, enough to pretty much do everything you want to. But, you know, they are always here. Like the Friendship Levistones, you can only hold 500 friendship points, so I am eventually forced to do that every now and then. There are also these relics that you can potentially get faded weapons for, or 2,000 for a guaranteed faded weapon once a month. There is a pity system in place for this. Once you do 80, you will get a guaranteed faded as well. And you know, 80 other chances for a faded. But yeah, these are specifically for weapons, and then down here we have everything except weapons. May as well go ahead and talk about gacha as well. This is something most mobile games share, or at least gacha games. I mean, that's literally a whole genre, so. Yeah, I don't know, it seems pretty standard to me. They have banners. They also do have multiple pities, which is cool. Hiyori, please get out of the way. 1 extra rare to faded hero every 10 pull. 1 guaranteed faded hero every 10 pulls, I guess technically 11 pulls there, and then you'll get the banner unit after a certain amount. In her case, and in all black banner Fatecores heroes, it'll be 19. FC Zeon, I believe, was a gold frame. Was his 29? I kind of forgot in the meantime, but it's a lot for the gold frame one, so make sure you're saving if you're planning on trying to grab one of those. The rates do seem somewhat standard, 3% for a 5-star hero, 1% for a Fatecores, plus the hero. What the general consensus is on that, if Fatecores is actually considered like the highest rarity, or if it's considered something even more special than that. But yeah, 3% for Nat 5, that is pretty typical. There's also something I haven't really seen in other mobile games, and that's this string of creation, where you can choose a certain banner, and you can see these 35, 44 of these low-grade bull craps, and then one of the really good stuff. You know, you have 3 Fatecores in here, several other 5-stars down here, and basically for each summon you do, you're going to be getting 10 of these guys. It's mostly going to be the low-grade stuff until they run out. You are guaranteed to get them eventually, but if you actually do the math, you'll see that you're going to need a lot of damn zest. Personally, I'm glad they have it because it is just an option. You can always just stick to the normal banners, you know, 1911 pulls for the guaranteed hero. That's what I'm going to be sticking with for a while anyway, but it's a nice option to have when you really want a hero. I do really want Bathory, but you know, considering that there's a good chance you won't get here until the last pull, yeah. We recently did just join a new air squadron as well, because my old one, the leader, just kind of went AWOL forever, and there honestly isn't too much air squadron content yet, and the one battle we can do per day is kind of complicated, so there seems to be like 1 or 2 windows where you're allowed to attack. And just for context, this isn't like an important time. It's nowhere near a reset. It's like right in the middle of reset. This would be 4 p.m. for me, and my reset happens at 10 p.m. So it's honestly just a pretty weird window, but I guess it'll be something to get used to, and you know, you'll just have to memorize that this is when you can actually do battles. And then the other air squadron content is kind of just a CP check. It takes all the heroes you have of 4-star and above of a certain element, depending on what the boss element is, and just places, I guess, the top 20 in this team. We only have 9. And you hit battle start. There's a long cinematic that I've already seen, so I'm just going to spam the skip button. And there we go, there's our score. You have 2 entries, so you can do that twice. Did they remove the 20-second limit thing? Because that was kind of annoying also, but it looks like they fixed it or removed it or whatever. And there you go. So done with squad content. I don't want to touch on every piece of content separately. That's going to take way too long, but I do want to talk about how they handle inventory management. I love them for this. Also, the fact they ask you if you want to sell your gold only items as soon as you go into your inventory is a nice touch. So we have 500 spaces right now, which is actually kind of a lot of space. I haven't even really touched my gear for the most part. I'm probably going to go through and salvage most of it later. But it's chill for now because we still have 70 spots. You can go up to 1,500 spots. And considering some other games, wink wink, the price for expansion is incredibly cheap. 1,000 for 1,000 spots. That is 1 zest per spot. Zest holds so tiny value in this game. You know, 700 for a 10 pull or 700 spaces of inventory, you know? That's crazy. It's crazy cheap. So I'm going to briefly touch on gear and all that. Yuri, FC Zeon's obviously my strongest character at 415. I gave him the most attention because, you know, it's FC Zeon, come on. Weapons in particular are hard to raise, but so is the rest of the gear. Let's go to our Sabrina here real quick, not for any special reason or anything, but the main way to get them stronger is to first polish them, which is basically just raising their level to full. As you can see, we use one of those things we got from Daily Quest, and then it goes to level 20. Purple stuff goes up to level 30 because it's just better, but then the next way is reforging, and this is where it gets a little bit hard. As you can see, we have pretty much none of this low grade stuff because we're doing the higher difficulty stages and get the higher grade stuff. Like these purple things, for example, that we have 43 of. That's where disassemble comes in handy. You can craft the lower grade stuff with the higher grade stuff, and if you progress somewhat quick through the game, you're gonna have to do this anyway. I don't really like having to do this, but I accept it, you know, especially the tier 4 to the tier 3 stuff because it's a 1-to-1 ratio. At least when you get down to tier 3 to tier 2, you only need 2 for 3. You know, so it's not as bad. But yeah, doing this is essentially getting it up from 3 to 4-star. And starting at purple, you can have everything at 6-star. And then of course, the weapons. Once you get them to level 66-star, so fully maxed out if it was any other gear, you can do Weapon Awakening. Let's take a look at that. 160,000 gold per try with a 50% success rate. It's a bit better at the start. I think it starts with 100 and goes down 10%. I was brave enough getting it to 5. And while you see I have 1.4 million gold up there, 160k is a lot of gold. We'll try it once just so you can feel my pain. Please work though. Oh no. Oh god, 160k gold down the trash. Okay, I think I'm never going to do that again. Maybe super in-game stuff. Gold is extremely valuable and hard to get in this game. Fatecores are a pretty huge thing in this game as well, so we'll talk about them. They're a little bit complicated, at the same time not really. I wouldn't say it's super fair just to call them costumes or outfits, because they can completely change the character. You know, Zeon, which is kind of like the main character of the story, is an alright character by himself, but of course the Fatecore version is insane, and that's because of what happens inside the passive. Dragon Blood, Wrath, Dragon Scale, all that stuff. All of that stuff, you can also enhance them. This is pretty small stat bumps though, and you need, you know, special other Fatecores. Main thing is the change to their skills. And of course, the only way to get good Fatecores is to summon them. So I think this video has been pretty long already. I've nitpicked a little bit, but all in all, it's just a really solid game. I feel like I might get burnt out a little bit quicker on this game than others because there is so much to do. But I think as long as they keep having events like this, you know, switching it up every now and then, will be cool. I find they are very generous with their Zes, the summon currency. We can touch on the shop in general, I guess. For the record, I am 100% free to play, though I was given 10 pulls worth of Zest by the developers during my first video, so I should mention that. The shop does work in a bit of a different way. There's nothing you can buy with actual money. So yeah, these crystals here you buy with actual money, and then everything else you buy with crystals. Besides the typical monthly things, I haven't seen anything of great value, except sometimes there will be a special offer, and those are sometimes quite interesting, and sometimes wish I had some of them crystals. But personally, I feel like I'm progressing at a completely acceptable and fun pace that I don't necessarily feel like I need to spend anything, so that's definitely a big plus as well. Graphics, again, objectively good, though that could be a bad thing depending on if you're trying to rock this on older hardware. It could just I got a comment the other day that just says their phone heats up and then shuts off when they're playing Exos Heroes. And yeah, that can definitely be a problem if you're not rocking some, you know, modern hardware. But yeah, I suppose that'll pretty much do it for today. I guess I'm supposed to give it a number. I'm not really good at that, but let's say 8.8. That's my rating for Exos Heroes. As far as gacha games go, I couldn't find anything really super wrong with it, honestly. It doesn't run very well, I guess. You could probably drop down the settings if that might help. But yeah, on my iPad it runs really well though. It could also just be an optimization thing. Yeah, make sure to tell me what you think though in the comments down below. Dropping a like on this video if you haven't died of a seizure yet would be greatly appreciated as well. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time.